Hello YouTube, welcome back to another edition of the Creating Cards series here on my YouTube channel. Now, listen, we've done a couple of these already. Had to do the Griffey Jr. one, did one for the Hall of Famers, and then just did one recently where I was looking at some guys that are confirmed in the game, Roberto Alomar, Jason Giambi, and Ken Griffey Sr. I figure though, it's about time that I get to my bread and butter, which is pitchers. I love pitchers. I study pitchers predominantly, in my work. That's kind of my thing. I mean, love all things baseball, but pitchers are really what I love to focus on. So I figured it's time to do an episode with some pitcher cards. And I've got two cards today for you, kind of different pitchers. One more of a finesse guy. You can probably guess who he is based on the team I'm on right now. And then another, a power thrower. And so I think we're going to see how it goes. I might actually throw some gameplay on with these guys too, maybe in some practice, just to kind of see how it goes. But in case you didn't guess, it's none of these guys here at the top. You know, I like to push the ratings down. It is, in fact, Roy Halladay. Now, Roy Halladay had a hell of a career, and, I'm going to, spoiler alert right away here. If the game stays the way it is, right, the current iteration greatly favors velocity. The top players can hit anything, velocity or breaking pitches, but in the thick middle class of the upper DS region throughout CS, that big class of players, velocity is still where you win. You got to be able to blow the ball past some guys, keep them off balance with mid-90s heat if you want to have regular success. And so I worry that even if we did get a card like this, if the game engine stayed the way it currently is, it might not be that good. And that's depressing because, I love Roy Halladay, and a lot of people do. He's a tremendous pitcher for Toronto, finished his career brilliantly with the Phillies, although, he kind of had an unceremonious finish. He was just kind of done. He had a tough 2012 with some injuries and some mediocre stats. And then 2013, 62 innings, 682 ERA. He was just done. So I've only got the one card. I'm not doing a Philly card with him. I do hope that they will do something. I don't know exactly what it is. Maybe make the pitches nastier so they're tougher to hit, or make that hit 9 really mean more. But there's got to be something, because right now, if you don't have big velocity, it's hard to have consistent success. I was really excited for that Chris Medlin card, and I thought that it could be successful. I mean, he doesn't throw very hard. In fairness, Halladay throws harder, but not so much so that it's like it's going to be that different. And so I do worry. I do worry that even if we got, say, the Roy Halladay or the Greg Maddux card that we all desire, that it might be underwhelming. But anyway, let's get into it. Let's start with stamina. And this one's pretty easy. This one's a straight 99. I mean, the guy was a workhorse. He was somebody that, he was going innings. He was going to pile up innings. This is kind of the trade-off of not being somebody who throws 95 consistently, is that you can go deeper into games. He led the league in innings 4 different times, including baseball one time in 2003 with 266 innings, the AL twice, 2002 and 2008, and then the NL, and also baseball. So he led baseball twice with 250 and 2/3 in 2010. So he's a workhorse. 7 innings, he averaged 7 innings per start, maybe 25, 35, maybe like at this point 30 to 40 years ago, that wasn't as impressive when guys were going 8, 9 every time out. But in the era that Roy Halladay played in, 7 innings a start is really impressive. He had the 5th most innings during his prime, which I'm counting as 2002 to 2009. His prime with Toronto, okay? No comments here on, oh, you said his prime stopped in 2009, but he won the Cy Young in 2010 and was second in 2011. I know he had 2 amazing seasons with Philadelphia those 2 years. I'm talking about his Toronto prime. So any point that I refer to as prime from here on out, it is 2002 to 2009. So let's just keep that in mind. That was the bulk of my focus here. It's a big enough sample that you can kind of use it to shape the card. He did have some time before that. He's a really interesting story, Roy Halladay is. He was an acclaimed prospect. He comes up, has a little bit of fanfare, but then just completely loses it. He's a former first-round pick. Has a good 1999 season, showing some, not good, but he was showing some things, showing some promise, and then fell apart in 2000 to the point where he had to go all the way back to A-ball. And they said, you know what? Yeah, you're 23, but you can work your way back up, man. You are broken right now. And of course he did. We saw it. 2 Cy Youngs, several top 5 Cy Young finishes, just a hell of a career. I don't know if he's a Hall of Famer, especially because judging Hall of Famers now, you're not going to have the normal metrics, especially for pitchers. There's no, 300 wins is going the way of the dodo bird, mainly because wins as a judge of talent is stupid, but also the fact that we don't ask guys to go, 8-9 innings every time out so that they're accumulating the wins. Back in the day, wins could be more of a talent assessment. First off, they're never useful on their own to say if you have wins, you're good. But back in the day when guys were actually finishing their games, you could understand why pitchers were given so much, were given the win. These days, when we're asking our pitchers to go 5-6 innings as hard as you can, just go all out for 5-6, then we'll turn it over to the bullpen, and you still might get a win or might not. You just don't have as much of a hand in it. So anyway, enough of a tangent about wins. He's a 99 stamina. He definitely deserves that. Let's move on to the hits 9, which I have at 80. And I have that because he had the 19th best average in his prime with a 248. Average was about 263 to 270 in that time. For starting pitchers, the league average, I'm saying. And so his 248 was substantially better. And, but he was only 19th. I actually kind of thought he might be higher. The beauty with somebody like Halladay, though, is that he could allow hits and then just strand the runners. So 80 might feel a little low, but I had to stay true to what I saw here, and he was 19th best, which is good. It's good, but it's not elite. I don't know that I can get him up into the 90s. The reason I referenced that Medlin card earlier, that card is based on 1 year, and so you can have a 92, and it makes sense. If you used one of Halladay's best years, let's say, I don't know, well, his best year from hits per 9 was 2005 when he allowed 7.5, but he never led the league. He was rarely below 8. That just wasn't his game. His game was fine. You can get some singles, but you're going to stay on first because I'm either going to get a double play or a weak ground out or a pop-up or even a strikeout. He wasn't a huge strikeout guy, but he could get some strikeouts. So that's where we're at, 80. I think that's a fair number. Let's move on to his K9, and it's only a 65. I mentioned not a huge strikeout guy, but good enough. Could get someone he needed him. 29th best K per 9, 6.6 in his prime. That's a minimum of 1,000 innings, and there were 67 pitchers qualified there. So he was 29th out of 67. Not amazing, but okay. And then I look at K percentage as well. K9 obviously is what they base it off of. K percentage is a little bit different. And the reason I still look at that, I look at both because they're not created equally, right? K9 is how many strikeouts you get per 9 innings. K percentage is how many strikeouts you get per your batters faced. So you could have a situation where being worse can actually get you a better K9 because you allow more hits and walks, and so you have more opportunities to strike batters out. Whereas with somebody like Halladay who worked on efficiency, you want to look more at his K percentage. Now, I will say the differences were minimal. He goes from 29th to 25th, but it is better, and it's that small gain that just shows you that K percentage is a more accurate representation of their true talent. But I know the game goes off of K9, so I will continue to look at K9 to try to get an accurate representation of what I think the game is going to do. Walk per 9, this is where he excels, folks. I gave him a fat 94. And he had 5th best walk per 9 at 1.6 in his prime. He was best among those with 1,500 innings. Remember, the qualification was 1,000 innings, and he was 5th, but he was best if you make it 1,500 innings. And so, that just shows you what he was able to do. He didn't give up free passes. You can get some hits because he knows he wasn't going to walk the next 2 guys and have bases loaded. That's just the kind of pitcher that he was. So 94, pretty easy there. Next up is the homer per 9. And I gave him a 97. Now, here's another thing I would love to see in 2007, the 2017 game. We got to get homer per 9 meaning something in the game. Currently in online play, it does not impact the pitcher, and that's a problem, right? I love this game. I don't have to do the disclaimer about how I love this game and now I'm going to critique it. I think everyone knows I love the game. I can critique it. This is bad. This is a problem that you have a category, one of just 4 categories that pitchers have here in the per 9s that doesn't impact the game. And it seems to me, and I'm not a developer, so I will cede some ground on this one if they tell me otherwise, but it doesn't seem difficult to create something where the homer per 9 matters, right? Maybe if you're at a certain level, it takes away 20% of the batter's power. And if you're at another level, it's 10% or 5%, or it adds 5%, 10%, 20%. You know, if somebody's a 33 homer per 9, maybe it's a 25% power boost for that batter. I don't know, but I really feel like they should be able to do something. And if you are going to get some of these more finesse guys to matter, that could be a huge impact, right? Because he doesn't throw hard. And so, sure, maybe players are making more contact at the high end in CS and World Series. But if they're not leaving the yard every time, you actually have a chance to get out of it. The problem now is that, you know, these guys club so many home runs that, you know, if you leave a few pitches that aren't perfect with Chris Medlin, they're hitting 4 home runs and it's 7-0 before you can breathe, even though you've only given up a couple of other hits outside of the homers. So anyway, that's my rant on homer per 9. They've got to make it matter. Currently, it does not, unfortunately. But if it does, that would be a big boost for Roy Halladay. And just so you know, it was the 3rd best homer per 9 in his prime with .7. He didn't allow homers. His clutch, his OPS was better with runners in scoring position than it was with bases empty. And both were excellent, but that's pretty impressive. Like I said earlier, that's part of his game. That's why even though he gave up hits, he knew that I'm just going to get you out anyway. I'm going to get the next guy out, so I don't care that you got your little rinky-dink single. I'll be out of this inning in no time. You know what this looks like to me a little bit? It looks like he could be Saberhagen-esque. You know, the KC Saberhagen. So that's what I'm seeing here in these per 9s. And I actually kind of like that card. The one thing is that Saberhagen does throw harder, so that's where they differ. But on the per 9 specifically, they could be similar. All right, so let me go here. Actually, I have the pitches a little bit different than this does. So let me do this. I've got a sinker as his primary pitch, the curveball as his secondary pitch. Now, I don't know which curveball to pick, the 12-6, the sweeping. This one had the sweeping. I'm just going to go standard curve right now because I actually didn't give that a thought. And so I wrote down CB. I'm just going to go with a standard CB. In the future, I'll try to be mindful of that and pick the ones that most accurately represent the curveballs that these guys had. He did have a 4-seamer and then a changeup. Actually, did he use a circle change? I think this was actually more of a splitter. So we're going to go change. We'll split the difference. And now let's see what we got here. So for his sinker, his velocity, he did work 92 on average. So what, the highest I can get is 88? Why is that? Is that because of his arm strength? That's frustrating. Why does it peak at 88? Surely sinkers can go faster. Well, that's disappointing. It's supposed to be a 92. But anyway, the break on it is an 82 and the control's a 95. So I'm going 95, 82. Geez, I don't understand that. I don't understand why it's limiting so much there. I'm wondering if it's the arm strength. Let me do this. Did that change anything? No, it might have made it worse. Yeah, no, it's the same. It's the same. Okay, well, there's a hiccup there. Didn't know about that. Didn't know it was going to do that, and I apologize. So does the velocity change the overall, though? So I don't know if it's going to give us a messed up representation of the card that we're trying to build here because the velocity isn't correct, but it should be 4 points higher. And, you know, it makes me more reluctant to do gameplay with it because it's not going to be accurate at all. Anyway, it should be 92 on average and then 95 control and 82 break. The curveball Is this going to get up to the velocity that it needs to be? Okay, yeah, 79, 99 break, and 88 control. Devastating curveball. He could throw, man, some of the curveballs that he busted off, they're just so filthy. So to have that break and control, that's huge. You can really freeze folks. There's no way this is going to get up to the okay, it will actually. Great. 91. We'll go to the high end of 91. The control is also 91. And then the break is 77. So he threw a really nice cutter. Four seam was only 93 on average. Control is 84. He had control of everything, right? This is a control pitcher. It didn't break that much. I don't know. Four seam break. Sometimes you can tell. You can see it. Like that has late life. That's devastating. Sometimes it's a little bit more nebulous. He was more of a sinker guy, and he got nasty break on that. And even I could have even gone two seamer, but I went ahead based on the data that I found. I went ahead with a four seamer to balance the sinker. So we're going four seam sinker, and then the change. Oh wait, 92. This is absurd. It's supposed to be 85. If anyone can help me with that for these future cards, that'd be great, because I don't understand why I am stuck with. Oh wait, do I have to go the other way? Oh yeah, I'm an idiot. I'm an idiot. You guys are like, yeah, we know, dude. We know. All right, so it's 85 with 69 control. Nice. And then 74 break. So still pretty good pitch. Like I said, I think there's some split finger tendencies to it, but I don't know if it was a true split finger, so I just went with a changeup. All right, so here's what we're looking at. Interesting, solid per nines, particularly on the homer and BB. This should be 92. I'm going to reiterate again for those that maybe aren't fully paying attention. Sometimes I watch YouTube videos in the background, and then I kind of check in on them. So you may be looking at your computer now. You're like, oh, what the hell, 88? No, it's supposed to be 92, but I couldn't make it. Great curveball, strong cutter, decent four seam, and good change. Let's see what we got here. Roy Halladay's a 99. Okay. And you know, a lot of that is the homer per nine. Wow, his velocity is 99. Oh, that's because I had to move the sinker all the way up. Interesting. I'm a little mad about this. What if I take this down? Because he doesn't really have 99 arm strength. Doesn't matter. I just feel weird seeing him with a 99 arm strength. It's weird for him to have a 99 velocity, folks. That annoys me greatly, because he doesn't have 99 velocity. And so that's very misleading. Oh, now the sinker is up there. Now it's 93. Oh, okay. Okay, great. Great. And now the curveball. Okay. Now we can adjust things. We just had to move out of it for some reason. Cutter needs to be 91, fastball there, change up there. Okay, everything's where it's supposed to be now. That's weird. I don't know why I had to do that. He's still a 99, which I'm completely okay with, right? He was amazing. And so his velocity's in at 87. That still feels high for somebody who wasn't gas, but I stand by him being a 99. Roy Halladay was amazing. He was one of the best pitchers of his era. Doesn't mean he'd play like a 99 though, because we're still talking about, you know, a peak of 91. Oh, I thought I said that was supposed to be 92, so we'll put that. But we're talking about a peak of like 93, 94, maybe on the sinker. 90, maybe he can touch 95 on the four seamer. So maybe there's a little bit more velocity than I thought. Maybe I'm giving him short shrift as a finesse guy. It's because of the strikeout rate that I say that. I'm very strikeout partial, to where if you don't have a big strikeout rate, I instantly call you finesse. But Roy Halladay was amazing, and he should be treated as such. And I'm comfortable with this card now that they let me do the proper velocities. Okay, great. Next up is a burner. This guy will have 99 velocity, and I'm very cool with that. We are going over to the Cubbies. And you want to take a second to guess in your head? Go ahead. 3, 2, 1. You don't see a certain name there because it's down here. Boom, Kerry Wood. Let's go. Let's go. Another hat tip to whoever's making these player types. Like that looks very Kerry Woodish. Very well done. Now let me see the pitch types here. 4-seam. Okay, I can get behind this. Except I don't think it's a cutter. I had a change up. I'm putting a change. So I'm putting a change up there. All right, let's get into it here. He only has 4 pitches, by the way. And I actually had the slider as his second pitch and the curveball as his third, and they went that way. So I don't know. I'm not going to change it. I don't think it's that big of a deal. I'm still going to be able to give the right rating. So, okay, I don't want to get too hung up on that. Let's start with the stamina. The stamina is a little bit disappointing, y'all. And I did research on this, and I checked it again because I came up with 77, and then I was looking, I'm like, 77 feels low. And so I did some extra research, and I still came out and said, you know what? 77 is the right number. He was 39th in innings per game per start in his era at 6.3. The most 7+ inning starts that he had in a season was 19. And that was the 116th ranked season from 1998 to 2006, which is his period with the Cubs. So that means there were 115 players, or 115 seasons, they could be by multiple players, of setting 20 or more starts with that where the guy went 7+ innings. Sorry, that's a little bit confusing on the verbiage. So what I'm saying is, in a given season, how many times did you go 7+ innings? The most he ever did was 19. That's not that great for his era. His 77 total, he had 77 7+ inning starts, was 53rd most for his era. 34 SPs, 34 starting pitchers had 100 or more. So stamina was not his game. He was kind of that bridge to where we are now, going from the everybody, you got to go 7+ innings every time out or else you're a clown, to now we're saying if you go 5 but they're 5 brilliant, our bullpen will take care of you. Now we kind of say go all out for 5 to 6 innings and we'll figure it out. Kerry Wood was kind of the bridge to that era because he could just go all out and be so beastly. Hits per 9, 94. The dude, good luck squaring up his stuff. So I would be so excited to see this card because you would have somebody who throws so hard and has such devastating stuff also with a shrunken PCI because his K9 is going to be high too, but we're going to get to that in a minute. Batting average 212. That was 3rd best, and he had 7.1 hits per 9. Kershaw right now is the gold standard at 95. Pedro should match or exceed Kershaw, and then Johan Santana and Kerry Wood should be next, and I will have them both tied at 94. So a little spoiler alert, I'm going to make a Johan Santana card, and he will have a 94 hits 9. Strikeout rate, even better, 96. What a stud. 27% strikeout rate. That was 3rd among 97 starting pitchers of his era, minimum 900 innings. Jose Fernandez, rest in peace, has the highest live series K9 at 92, and he had a 33% strikeout rate. However, the reason I'm giving Wood a little bit higher, even though his K percentage is lower, is because league average was lower at the time. So his 27% for Kerry Wood is more impressive than even Fern's 33% in this era. Okay, so stick with me on that. I know that it might seem a little bit counterintuitive, but I do believe that he deserves a higher mark when you scale it to his era. He and Randy Johnson and Pedro were just so above the rest that I do think he deserves a 96. Now his walk rate, that's where we're going to get you. That's all the way down at a 37. Yikes. Hey man, when you're throwing that hard and it has that much wiggle on your secondary stuff, you don't know where it's going. And that happens. His 11% walk rate was 4th worst among those 97 starters. Francisco Liriano has an 11% walk rate the last 3 years, and he has a 32 rating. So similar to what I did with the strikeouts. I gave Wood a little bit better 37 walk rate because the league average is a little bit higher in his era. So his 11% isn't as bad as Liriano's. So that's why he's a little bit better at 37 compared to Liriano's 32. Homers per 9, not that it matters, but 62. Hey man, every once in a while they're gonna connect on a straight 99 mile per hour and it's gonna go 420 feet the other way. That happens, but if nobody's on base, who cares? He had a 1.0 homer per 9 compared to a 1.2 league average. He was 42nd out of 97 batters, so kind of right in the middle. Pardon me. His runners in scoring position OPS was better than when he had bases empty, so I gave him a pretty solid clutch rating. Boom, 75. All right, so that's what we're looking at. I mean, that is sexy. Even with the BB9, that is filthy. Now let's get into these pitches because, whoo boy, here we go. Fastball velocity. He threw 95. And I'm going to go on the high end of his 95 because he averaged 95, which means he was hitting 96 plus on the reg. The break, I was talking about it earlier. You talk about a fastball that has late life, and his had life. His moved. And that's what made it so devastating. When you throw straight as an arrow at any velocity, major leaguers will catch up to it eventually. When it has movement or a lack of drop, which gives that rising effect, because it doesn't drop the way it should. That's what makes it look like a rise. The ball never actually rises. It just goes down at a slower rate than normal to give that appearance. And he could throw fastballs like that. While I was doing research of this, I was watching the 20 strikeout game against Houston. And yes, I'm taking like the best game of his career to kind of look at. But I mean, it was just so filthy. So filthy. The control was only 54 though, right? Because like I said earlier, he didn't always know where it was going, but that's all right. We can work with that. I can work with a 54. I think you can work with a 54 when it's being thrown that fast with that much wiggle. Now I'm skipping to the slider because like I said, I had that as my second pitch. The velocity on it was 84. The control was 73. He actually controlled that pretty well. That's it. The interesting thing is that the fastball actually was tougher for him to control than some of the breaking pitches. The break, a filthy 83. The curveball, and we'll go with sweeping curve. I'll trust them here. It kind of was that, and this one I actually really agree with sweeping curve because a lot of times it was just called a breaking ball for him because his curve and slider kind of melded together. Sometimes he could throw a nasty 12 to 6er, but a lot of times they were more sweeping. So I'm totally cool with the two pitches essentially being broken down this way, even though they're kind of similar that way. So he could throw it at about 78 on average, and he controlled it 69. Nice. And then the break, 89. The break was just so filthy. So basically what he would do, essentially, was take speed off of the slider and get more break. And it was so nasty. The changeup was a bit of a show-me pitch. So, and for those of you who don't know what that means, show-me pitch means you just show it every once in a while. Keep batters honest. And they're sitting slider, and you throw that change, and you just try to freeze them a little bit. It's basically for him because it wasn't great, and the arm action wasn't great on it. It was just a slower fastball, really. I mean, that's really what it was that he was just trying to slow down that fastball. Average 86, control 42. He didn't really control it. And the break wasn't great either, 54. So that's what we're looking at here. I'm pretty excited about this card. It could be a 99. I don't care. It'd be awesome. Okay, it's not. It's not even close. Where did it go, though? Did I not save it? What's happening? That's not even close to a 99. Okay. Oh, because it's the BB. Dude, I'm an idiot. I'm such a moron. Of course it's not a 99. I was getting hooked on the hits 9 and K9. When you have a 37 BB9, you have no chance of being a 99. Sorry, I'm a moron. I wish I could edit that out because that's embarrassing. But go ahead and laugh at me. I'm a dork. This would be awesome. I would love this card. It's a gold. And the best part about this card is I think it will play brilliantly. And then in tournaments where they have restrictions on how many diamonds and golds you can have, you wouldn't even have to use a diamond to get Kerry Wood. I feel like this would be a very, very popular card. So we have an 87 Kerry Wood. All right, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to save this. Save data, roster, stars. Because I want to use these. I think we're going to do a little gameplay here. You know what? I might do the gameplay on a separate video though, because I can only go so long on these, and I don't know how long I've been going. So I am going to do that. I'm going to go ahead and end it here. This is the creating cards finale, or excuse me, the end of this creating cards one, and then I'll do a gameplay with both of those cards to kind of see how they go. So hopefully you enjoyed that. That's Kerry Wood and Roy Halladay. You can put thoughts of guys that you want in the description down below. But I've been doing something on my stream where we do a legends vote for each team, and I'll put a link to that if you want to vote on those cards. Those are the player pools that I'm really going to be picking from, and I still have to finish all the teams, but that's really what I'm going to be focusing on. But if you see a name that's not on the list for a team, feel free to suggest it. Thanks for watching. Please hit that subscribe button.